Welcome to all the fans of the greatest show on earth, which is The Vampire Diaries. Today we will be talking about season 2, episode 2, and today's episode is called Brave New World. And today's name episode is based on or related to a book written by Aldous Huxley that was published in 1922. And this book was based on, or the name of this book was based on a play by William Shakespeare, which was called The Tempest. I'm always interested where the names of the episodes come from, so I was really surprised that this was such a relation to William Shakespeare and another published author. And when I was reading about it, they were also mentioning that the book by Aldous Huxley is very similar to George Orwell's 1984, which I read because at one point I had an era where I was like, let me read more classic books. And then I did, and it was the worst book I have ever read. I kept thinking and wishing that it is going to get better. It must get better, right? There is going to be a turn and everything's going to be okay. And it didn't happen that way for me. So literally when I finished reading that book, I wanted to burn it. It was horrible. Like Caroline, burn it. So yeah, I would not recommend those. All right. Let's have a look at today's episode. In the first scene, we are in the hospital where Caroline is waking up. She's going out in the hallway and she's asking the night nurse where everybody is. The nurse is telling her it's middle of the night, what are you doing? Go back to bed. Caroline then turns around and she wants to go to her room, but then she smells something or sees something. So she goes into the room and then there's a blood bag and she's staring at it. Then the night nurse finds Caroline in this room and she's like, what are you doing? I said, back to bed. So Caroline does, but then she sits on the on her bed and she pulls out the blood bag that was hidden underneath her like hospital gown. And she opens it up and has a little bit of it, like drinks a little bit out of it, and then she gets sick, so she throws it on the floor. Then she's looking at the blood bag like for a little bit, and then she jumps down on the floor and starts very like hungrily drinking from it again. And I feel like Candace is doing such a great job portraying this Caroline's transformation and all of her face expressions and the way she acts out this whole new feelings and everything. I just really enjoy that. And then we see the writing on the screen, The Vampire Diaries, and today's episode is officially starting. In the next scene, we are in the middle, or no, in front of the high school, where everybody is getting ready for the Mystic Falls High School Carnival, where Elena and Bonnie are kind of overseeing everything and taking care that like everything is good. Bonnie is telling Elena that Catherine looked like her, like not, like she wasn't resembling her, she looked like her, and it was freaky. And Elena's like, yeah, she's my ancestor, blah blah blah. And then Bonnie's trying to talk to Elena about Damon, that he killed Jeremy or tried to kill Jeremy. And Elena kind of puts a stop to it and she's like, no, Bonnie, like I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about Damon or anything else, or anything that's like related to vampires, and that she just wants to kind of get the carnival stuff ready. And like she doesn't want to talk about any of it, because if she will, she's gonna go crazy. So then Bonnie is like, okay, I'm sorry, I will focus, and we have to make Caroline proud or she will kill us. And then Bonnie says, I don't know how she does all of this. And Elena says, well, because she's not human, obviously. And Bonnie adds, obviously, and they laugh at it. But this is so amazing because Caroline is in transition into a vampire. So it's just like, I love when there are details like this that just, I don't know, to me this was amazing. Well, because she's not human, obviously, like they don't know yet, so that was really, I felt like that was a really smart line from coming from the writers. In the next scene, we are inside of the school where Stefan and Jeremy are having a conversation. Stefan is telling Jeremy about Vervain and about stakes into the heart, and then Jer is like, "You're pretty confident telling me all this when I could kill you." And then Stefan's like, "Listen, if I thought you were gonna kill me, we would be having a different conversation." And Jer then says that Damon is the one who deserves it, and Stefan's like, "No, forget about Damon because he's not stable and like it's not safe to like talk to him or like do anything, with Damon." And then and then he tells him, "You have to move forward." And Jerry's like, "I was killed by a vampire and brought back by a magic ring. How do you move forward from that?" Which is a valid point on Jeremy's part. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that is a good point. And Stefan's like, "Right, well, today we have a nice little distraction courtesy of the slave driver Elena." And Elena is walking towards them, and Jer is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna set up the goldfish toss and the 300 goldfish. It's gonna be epic," which is nice that he uses my favorite word, epic. And then he walks away. Then we have Helena and Stefan, who are alone now. And Elena says that, she was kind of hoping that this carnival is going to put Jeremy back into his like teen life, which is like, dude, he was killed last night. Like, he was literally killed and came back from the dead. How do you think, like, I mean, give him a little bit of time. Like, maybe if after a week he's still sulking, then like deal with it. But he was literally killed and brought back to life. I mean, come on. And then Elena adds that, she just wants everybody to go back to be boring high school students who live in a world where the V word is not uttered. Stefan says, "Got it." And then Elena says, "Then later, you're going to take me to the Ferris wheel. We're going to ride to the very top, and then you're going to kiss me. And my heart will flutter like a normal high school girl." Do you see a running theme here? Stefan's like, "Yeah, I know, I'm seeing it, I'm liking it, but I have a quick question. What do we do about Damon?" And Elena says, "No D word, okay? That has been deleted from the list of topics that we can discuss." And Stefan says, "Unfortunately, Catherine showing up has been a little bit of an odd place. Little off-killer, kind of dangerous. Who knows what he's up to?" Well, and in the next scene, we're going to find out what Damon is up to, because he is in Carol Lockwood's house and they are having tea together. And it's such a cute scene because, like, I mean, Damon, murderous, crazy vampire, having high tea with Carol. Come on. Carol is telling Damon that she's going to be acting as interim mayor until election, since her husband, who was the mayor, died, and she wants someone to kind of lead the council, or she uses the word spearhead, which is a very funny word to me. And then she adds that she would like if Damon was this person who will be leading the council. And Damon tells her, "Whatever you need, Carol, as a founding family member, it's something very close to me." He's bullshitting her, whatever. Then Mason and Tyler enter the house after they've been out like on a run or something. And so Carol closes the door to the living room so her and Damon can have privacy. But Damon is listening in with his vampire ears to the conversation of Mason and Tyler. So Mason is telling him, "So all this anger and aggression you're talking about, you notice a difference when you exercise?" "Dude, I played 3 varsity sports. I work out 4 times a week and I run 3. I'm gonna say no." "Do you have episodes? What happens exactly?" "It starts out normal. I get angry, typically over nothing. I'm an angry guy. I know it's just amplifies and I just go off." "You black out?" "Yeah. It's like I go blind with rage." "Is there a pattern, like once a month, only at night?" "All I know is I lose myself. For that time, I become something else, and I hate it." Damon is still listening to this conversation, and Carol's like, "Are you still with me?" And he's like, yeah, I'll have more tea, whatever. And I have to admit that I was quite surprised that Damon is not somewhere drunk in a bar eating some like cute college girls or something, or everybody inside, because I would think that he will want to kind of hide, or not hide, but chase away that hopelessness that we saw on him on the ending of last episode, because he killed Jeremy, and then there was a scene where he came home and he kind of like slammed his jacket down on the floor, and you could just see that he hated himself for what he did, and he was just feeling like just horrible. So I'm surprised that he kind of got over it overnight, and now he's like drinking tea with Carol. I mean, I feel like that was a little off character for Damon. I think he's still not so evolved that he would be able to do that. But I mean, he could have pulled it together because, like, he wants to know what's happening in the town. So maybe Carol called him up and he's like, all right, yeah, I have to, like, pretend. But anyways, that was my take on that. Then we are back in the hospital where Caroline is trying to figure out what is happening to her. She already found out that sun is burning her skin. Then Matt is walking in and bringing her food, but she says that she doesn't want it because it's disgusting. Matt then wants to kiss her, and Caroline also leans in for the kiss, but then she stops because if she would like lean in all the way, her face would end up in light and it would burn her skin. So then she moves away from him. So he's like, what's happening? I mean, he doesn't say that. He's just like, his face expression says that. And then Matt is telling her that tomorrow morning they will let her go home, and she's totally terrified. She's like, no, it has to be tonight. And Matt tells her, no, the carnival is going to happen without you, Caroline. I know it's hard for your neurotic, control freak personality to process, but Bonnie and Elena have it. And she says, I'm not neurotic. And Matt, yeah, you are, but it's cute, so. Look, it's not about the carnival, okay? It's just, this place is really depressing. It's because you're sitting in the dark. And then he opens the blinds, and Caroline jumps out of bed and by like the wall, and she's like, no, don't do it. But Matt already did it, and he's like, what's wrong with you? She's like, just close it, please. So he closes it, and then he says, I'll just come back later, because he's like, what is happening? Then we are in Damon's and Stefan's house, and Damon is pouring himself a drink, to which Stefan is walking in, and Damon's like, care for one? No, thank you. I'm not hungry. I just ate. Oh, he's pouring himself a glass of blood. I don't know if I said a glass of cognac or something. It's a glass of blood if I messed it up. And so Damon's asking if Stefan wants one. He said, no, I just ate. I'm not hungry. And Damon says, are you worried that one day all of the forest animals are gonna band together and fight back? I mean, surely they talk. And Stefan ignores it and says, I'm just happy that's a blood bag and not a sorority girl supplying your dinner. I mean, same, like, Stefan, same. And Damon's like, I like this. You walking on eggshells around me because you think I'm gonna explode. Very suspenseful. Is Elena worried too? I bet I'm in your every conversation. Have you heard from Catherine? I think the Lockwoods have a family secret because the Gilbert device affected them, but Vervain didn't, so they're not vampires. There's something else. And like, he totally ignored Stefan's question, so Stefan's like, is that your new obsession? You'd rather some unknown supernatural element running rampant upon our town? Fine, I'll drop it. We haven't seen the last of Catherine. You do know that, right? We have no idea what she's up to. Sure we do. She came back to profess her undying, eternal love for you. So, I'm gonna let you deal with that because I have more important things to do, like explode. Cheers. Then we are back in the hospital where Caroline is putting her jewelry on, and she's putting on the necklace she got from Elena, but it burns her, so she throws it away. And we know that it burns her because there is vervain inside of it, and Elena gave to Caroline for protection. But I don't understand, if it was concealed within the charm, like within the pendant, how would it still burn her unless it's like a mash on the back and the vervain like kind of seeps through it? I'm not sure, but I would think that if it was in the pendant itself, it wouldn't burn her. So, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about that. Then Caroline drinks again from the blood bag, and then she's starting to scream because she sees the vampire veins coming under her eyes, and also her vampire teeth are poking out. So the nurse hears her and she comes in, she's asking what's happening, and Caroline grabs her under her throat and she like pushes her against the wall, and then she compels her without even knowing so. She's like, "You cannot tell anyone." And then the nurse is like, "I can't tell anyone." And Caroline's like, "You'll do what I say? I'll do what you say." And Caroline's like, "Well, that's good because I'm starving." And then she bites into her. Then we are at the carnival where Elena is stressed out, and Bonnie is like, "Calm down, everything's gonna be okay." Then a guy who is helping around comes and he's flirting with Bonnie, and then they walk away together to fix some speakers or something. And I love this I love this scene because Bonnie is telling Elena that they sold out all the t-shirts with Theme Jacob on it, which is of course a hint for Twilight, which came out in year 2008. So I googled it if it was possible, like if it was from the books or if it was from the movies, but the Team Jacob obviously was from the movies. So I googled it and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing that in another like vampire universe they say this. We sold out all Team Jacob t-shirts." I just loved this so much. And there was also another hint for Twilight when Damon was reading a book in one of the previous episodes in the first season. I think in the beginning of the season, because he was dating Caroline and she was trying on the dresses, and he was laying in her bed and he was reading Twilight, and he was like kind of upset about, like, he was like, "This makes no sense." And Rice knew what to do, and we know that Anne Rice is the one who wrote Interview with the Vampire. So I really love when all of these like vampire universes trickle into each other. And in the Vampire Diaries there was also Twilight, like they would go watch it in the movies or something and have a Team Jacob t-shirt. So that made me really happy. And I mean, if you have seen Twilight, which I think most of you have, please let me know in the comments if you liked it, the movies. Because I feel like the Kristen or Kirsten, whatever her name is, she doesn't know how to play at all. And I feel like she has like one face expressions throughout the whole movie. But of course, when I was like 15, I was eating it up. I loved those movies, and I also read the books. So I'm not gonna hate too much, but just let me know, because I watched it, I think, about 2 years ago as like a 32-year-old, and I was like, "What is this?" So just let me know. In the next scene, we are back in Tyler's house, and Mason is like kind of looking through his brother's study, and Tyler walks in. He's like, "What are you looking for?" And then he says that he's looking for something that was her mom's, and it was a moonstone, and it has a sentimental value. And Tyler was like, "Okay, ask my mom." And then they walk away together. And Tyler looks very suspicious of Mason in this scene as well. Then we're back in the carnival. Jer is buying some popcorn, and Damon appears. And he says, "Jeremy, it's so good to see you alive. Aren't you a little old for a high school carnival? 150 years too old." Then Damon takes some of Jeremy's popcorn and eats it. And Jer says, "You're pretty funny cracking jokes when I could, I don't know, blow the whole lid of this thing by telling someone what you really are." Damon catches him and takes him away from the crowd and says, "Please tell me that that is not a threat." Maybe it is. And then Jeremy shows him the ring he's wearing, the ring that brings him back to life. And Damon chokes him and says, "This is what we are not gonna do. We're not gonna walk around like we are invictable when it's this easy for me to end you." Then he releases him and says, "If you want to tell people what I really am, go ahead and try." And then Damon is holding up Jeremy's ring that he took from his hand, and he's like, "I will shove this ring so far up your ass, you'll have something to choke on." And then he like throws the ring at Jeremy and leaves. And I don't understand why Damon is being such an asshole to Jeremy. Like, if anything, he should have freaking apologized to him. Like, oh, Jeremy, I'm so sorry I killed you. I was having a rough night and blah, blah, blah. Like, it wouldn't even, the apology would mean nothing because you actually, like, did kill him, but it would be better than trying to kill him again. I mean, what? Like, I don't know. Damon is not making any sense in this episode to me. Then we are back in the hospital. Caroline is talking to someone on the phone and probably Matt. And then Caroline is asking the nurse what she's gonna say if somebody asks her what she has on her neck. And she's like, oh, my husband gets kinky or likes to get kinky in bed. And Caroline says, that's good. And she says, and then she's like, if you forget, and the nurse is like, forget what? And Caroline's like, I don't know how that works, but it's brilliant. And then she walks off, and she basically teached herself the art of compulsion, which is pretty admirable for a new vampire to just, kind of learn themselves. Then we are back at the carnival where the guys are like having like a wrestling competition. And Damon is watching Tyler, who has super strength and he's winning all the matches. And then Stefan is coming and he says, you are lurking. I'm observing. More like obsessing. And Tyler is then winning another round and Damon's like, he's got strength. And Stefan says, he's a triple letter varsity athlete. Of course he has strength. You're reaching. And then Mason appears and he goes and wrestles with Tyler and he wins. Tyler is asking who else wants to try, and Damon's like, Stefan wants to go, and Stefan's like, oh my god, but he's like, okay, I'll go. Then they start wrestling and Mason beats Stefan, and Damon's like, you didn't put any effort in. And Stefan's like, yeah, actually I did. Damon is surprised by that, and then they're walking away together. And Damon is asking Stefan if Mason is a vampire. But Stefan says no, like, it was like a different kind of strength, like not like a vampire strength. Like, it was like strong, but more like a human, if that makes sense. And Damon's like, what is up with that family? They're not vampires. What the hell are they? And Stefan is joking with him and he's like, oh, I know. Maybe they're Ninja Turtles. You're not funny. Oh, no, zombies, werewolves. No comedic timing at all. Damon turns his head and sees Carter repairing something. Carter is the guy who was flirting with Bonnie earlier. And Stefan's like, what are you doing? What are you up to? And Damon, this is reality and there's no such thing as werewolves or combat turtles. I said Ninja Turtles, actually. Damon goes over to Carter and he compels him. And he says, I need you to pick a fight with someone, a kid named Tyler Lockwood. And Stefan says, Damon, don't do this. And Damon like is brushing him off with his hands, like, go away. And he says, it's just an experiment, get him mad, and then we'll see. And then Stefan's like, you realize someone's gonna get hurt. And Damon, no, someone's gonna get mad. And Stefan's like, what are you trying to do? That Tyler kid is incapable of walking away from a fight. Let's see who intervenes. Maybe the ambiguous supernatural mystery uncle. Stefan then walks away and Damon is walking away like in a different direction, and then Caroline appears. And Damon's like, hey Blondie, they let you out? I remember. What do you remember? I remember how you manipulated me, pushed me around, abused me, erased my memories, fed on me. You're crazy. Memories have been coming back in pieces. You can't remember. It's impossible. I mean, unless you're becoming a... Caroline smiles and says, I have a message from Catherine. She said, game on. Wait. And then Caroline pushes him with her vampire strength. And he falls on the floor. And she says, you suck. And walks away. Damon is then finding Elena and he tells her that he needs to talk to her. She's like, whatever it is, I don't want to talk. And Damon's like, no, you really need to come with me right now. And she's like, I don't want to. And then he says it again. And so then she stops and she follows him, which if I was Elena, I would probably tell him to go F himself and I would not come with him. Like, I just would not because you killed my brother last night. I'm not talking to you. In the next scene, we are in the parking lot where Carter is walking into Tyler. Stefan is watching this scene. Then Carter pushes him and he keeps pushing him until they start to fight. Then Uncle Mason arrives and he pushes Carter away, but he's not backing down. He just keeps fighting them. So then Mason pulls this like kind of supernatural like jump kind of thing. It kind of looks like from a Matrix, and his eyes are glowing and Tyler sees that. And then Mason like a bitch slaps Carter and then he falls down and him and Tyler are walking away. Then we see Caroline who surprises Matt at the carnival, and Caroline's like, oh, they let me out, I feel all better. And Matt is at the ring toss, so he's asking Caroline if she wants to try it. So she says yes. She takes, I guess, the ring. I've never played this game. And she throws it and she breaks a couple of those glass bottles. And she's like really like uncomfortable about this, and Matt says, whoa, hey, nice shot, killer, which is another amazing line, and we are gonna talk about this later. But Caroline is like really uncomfortable about it. She's like, oh, they must have been broken, this and that. And then they embrace and Caroline can feel Matt's like blood pulsing through his veins, and she gets like uncomfortable about the blood, so she walks away. And Matt is like, what is wrong with you? And she's like, I just gotta go, leave me alone. So Matt is totally confused. And then we are in the high school where Elena, Damon, and Stefan are talking about Caroline. Stefan is asking, how did this happen? Well, I fed her blood and Catherine obviously killed her. A plus B equals. Elena says, but why? Because Catherine is a manipulative, nasty little slut. Stefan says, and she said game on? I mean, what does it even mean? It means she's playing dirty. She wants us to know. But why Caroline? I don't know. Caroline must be completely out of her mind. She doesn't even know what's happening to her. And Damon says, oh, I think she does. All of my compulsion from the past starting to wear off the minute she was in transition. We have to find her. Yep, and kill her. Elena says, you're not gonna kill Caroline. She knows who we are. She's officially a liability and we've got to get rid of her. Damon, absolutely not. Need to remind you of tragic little story of a girl named Vicky Donovan. Caroline, of all people, will not make it as a vampire. Her mother is a vampire hunter. Guys, come on. We all know how this story is gonna end. Just flip to the last chapter and Elena says, it's not an option, Damon. No? Your silence is deafening, Damon. Wait, wasn't there a high school carnival the night you staked Vicky? I never had a town where history repeats itself. You know I'm right. We are not gonna kill her. And then Damon says, it's the only way. Then we see Caroline who is alone and she is crying, and then she sees Carter who is all like bloodied up, like his nose is like dripping with blood after the fight, and she realizes she really wants blood so much, and she's looking at him. He kind of picks up on that and sees her crying, and he's like, are you okay? And she says, I'm so sorry. And he's like, what? And then she eats him. Then we see Matt talking with Bonnie. Matt says, she's obviously pissed at me for something, but for what? No clue. What happened? She freaked out and she's been like that all day. Cool one minute, crazy and neurotic the next. She almost died. It's bound to be a mess. It's bound to mess with her head. Plus, she's Caroline. Yeah, I'm used to the insecurities and all that. That's who she is. Love it or hate it. But this seemed, I don't know, different. I can't explain it. In the next scene, Damon is looking for Caroline. And he sees like a tent and he grabs the thing that holds it down, which is made out of wood. And also, Elena and Stefan are looking for Caroline. Elena is asking Stefan, "You agree with Damon, don't you?" And Stefan then like punches like into like a wall or like a side of like some food truck. I don't know. It was weird. Elena looks totally shocked and she's like, "Hey," and Stefan says, "Damon is right. Not about what we should do, but about what's gonna happen. Catherine already signed Caroline's death sentence." Elena says, "Well, we can't let it end that way. She's doing this to me, isn't she?" Meaning Catherine. And Stefan's like, "Actually, she's doing it to me." Which I'm like, okay, whatever. I think she's doing it to all of you, but okay. In the next scene, we are in Tyler's house, and Tyler and Mason are walking in. And Tyler is trying to get some explanation about what he just saw. And the jumps and the eyes, right? So he's like, "What was that?" And Mason, "Brazilian martial art. I took some classes a while back." "Don't lie to me." "I'm not lying. I saw something." "You didn't see anything. I saw your eyes. They glowed." Reflection of a car headlight, maybe. That's all." "Huh, reflection of a car headlight." "Yeah." "You really expect me to believe that?" "Tyler, you want to know what you saw? You saw me get pissed off that I had to pull your delinquent ass out of a fight." In the next scene, Stefan and Elena are still looking for Caroline, and Stefan then smells blood and goes towards that. Caroline is sitting next to Carter's body and she's crying. Damon finds her, and Caroline's face is like covered in blood. And she says, "He's dead. I killed him. What's wrong with me?" And Damon, hey, it's okay. I can help you." "You can?" "Yeah, I have to." "Well, what are you gonna do?" "The only way I can do. I'm gonna kill you." "No, please don't. I don't want to die." "Yeah, but you're already dead." "No, I'm not. Don't say that. Just help me." Okay. It's the only way." Then Damon embraces Caroline, and behind her back, he raises the stake and he's ready to kill her. But Stefan arrives, rushes over, and pulls his hand away, so the stake falls to the ground. And then Caroline sees Elena and she thinks it's Catherine, and she's like, "Get away from me, you killed me." No, Caroline, that wasn't me, you know that was Catherine." "No, then why did she look like you, and why did she do this to me?" Then Elena says they have to get her inside, and Stefan says, "It's alright, Caroline, come with me." Damon says she will die, it's only a matter of time, and Stefan, "Yeah, maybe so, but it's not gonna happen tonight." Then Damon says, "Oh, yes, it is," and he picks up the stake and he tries to stake Caroline, but Elena jumps in front of her and says, "Damon, she's my friend." Damon hesitates, but then he drops his arm with the stake. And Damon says, "Whatever happens, it's on you." Then Bonnie comes and she sees Caroline all covered in blood, and she's like, she sees the blood on Caroline's face and she says, "No, you're not, you can't be." And then she touches her arms, and somehow Bonnie knows if she touches someone if they're a vampire or not, so she realizes that Caroline is a vampire. And Caroline is like, "Bonnie?" And then Bonnie sees Carter's body and she looks just like shocked and disgusted and everything. And then Stefan is taking Caroline inside into the bathroom, and Caroline is freaking out. She's like, "She hates me. Bonnie hates me." No, she's just in shock. We all are. "And what about Matt?" "No, one thing at a time. Let's get this blood off. Come on." And he's helping her to wipe the blood off of her face. And Caroline is muttering, "I'm a murderer. I'm a monster." "Look at me. Your emotions are heightened right now. It's part of the transformation. It's completely normal. I promise you, okay?" Then Caroline sees her face changing in the mirror into like the vampire face, and she starts to panic, and she's like, "Why does this keep happening to my face?" And Stefan grabs her face into his arms and he says, look at me, Caroline, look at me, look at my face, look at my face." And then he pulls up his vampire veins and he says, "You see that? When you feel the blood rushing, you tell yourself that you're going to get through it, that you're strong enough. Yes, yes, no matter how good it feels to give yourself over to it, you fight it off, you bury it. Watch me. And then his face goes back to normal, and he says, "It's the only way you're gonna survive this thing. Try it." And then Caroline is like breathes in and out, and her face goes back to normal, and he's like, "That's good." And then Caroline is like, "Why did Catherine do this to me?" "I don't know. I wish I did. But I promise you, I will not let anything happen to you. Come here." And where did Caroline hear about Catherine? Because she was in the hospital. Catherine came and killed her. And then Caroline did everything herself. She had blood, and then she learned to compel, and then she left the hospital. And who told her about Catherine? Do you guys know? Like, I don't I don't recall that, and I know her memories came back, but I don't think that I mean, Catherine told her my name is Catherine, game on, and she killed her, so like she remembers that, but like she doesn't know that Catherine is a vampire, like, you know? Hmm. So she's taking it because she's like, "No, you killed me," and then it's like, "Oh no, it was Catherine," and she like right away believes her. I don't know. And then outside is Elena and Bonnie, and Bonnie says, "I can't believe this is happening," and then Damon says, "Don't pout about it. I got a body to bury." And then Bonnie freaks out because like Damon is mocking, Carter, who is dead now, and Bonnie was talking to him before. And Bonnie kind of loses it, and she sets a spell on Damon that makes his like head hurt. He goes down to the ground. Then she tries to set him on fire, but Elena like jumps over to Bonnie and shakes her to like stop it. And then like Bonnie's like, why did you stop me? And Elena's like, because this isn't us, Bonnie. This cannot be us. And then she hugs her and they're walking away, and Elena basically saved Damon's life from Bonnie. Then we see Elena and Stefan. Elena is standing at her locker inside of the school, and Stefan says, "Caroline is okay for now. I'm gonna check on her later." What about the guy that it's taking care of? Damon is right, isn't he? It won't end well for her. No, I'm gonna make sure that he is wrong. I just can't believe that this day turned into not your normal day, huh? I was stupid to think that it could be. I mean, nothing about my life is normal. My best friend is a witch, my boyfriend is a vampire, and I have a doppelganger who's hell-bent on destroying all of us. I'm sorry. No, it's not your fault, Stefan. It's no one's fault, you know. It is what it is. And then she says, like, she's almost crying, but she's like, I'm fine. I just gotta go. And then she's gonna call him tomorrow. And then we are back at Tyler's house. Carol is telling Mason that she's happy that he came because it's also good to for Tyler that he's around. And then she tells him that she's gonna look for that thing that Mason is looking for, which is the moonstone. And then Mason is apologizing to Tyler for their earlier conversation, and Taylor's like, it's okay. And then we see Tyler go into his father's office. He kind of like closes the door, sneaks up, and then he opens a safe that's like hidden under the floors. And he opens the safe, and then he finds the moonstone in there and puts it in his pocket. Then we are back at Damon's house, who is pouring himself this time a glass of whiskey, not blood, and somehow he knows that Jeremy is sitting behind him. Maybe he can smell him, I don't know. And then he says, "What the hell are you doing here?" "You don't lock your front door." "Yeah." And Damon is like getting ready to have a drink from the whiskey. And Jeremy, "No, I wouldn't. I laced it with vervain." "And why would you do that?" Jeremy has a stake in his hands, and he kind of shows it to him, and he's like, "So I could stake you with this?" And then he throws the stake on the floor, and Damon picks it up. And Damon's like, "You came here to kill me? It's only fair you killed me first." "Well, what made you wisen up?" "My father hated vampires. My uncle too. They were absolute. They knew exactly what they stood for. And I figure maybe I should too. I mean, stand for something, but killing you, what is that gonna do? Look, I don't do the big brother thing very well. Sorry, I don't have any milk and cookies to offer you. Jeremy tells him that he's a dick and gets up and starts to leave. And Damon's like, wait, my father hated vampires too. He did? For the same reasons that your dad did, only it was 1864. People knew how to whittle. Jeremy, like, kind of smiles a little bit, and Damon's like, did you do this? Yeah, I tried. It's a lot harder than it looks. And I really kind of always hated that Damon never gave Jeremy a chance. Throughout the series, he always kind of like made fun of him, kind of pushed him around a little bit, and was like a jackass to him. If you notice, like he's never really good to him. He's never really like a brother figure to him or a friend even. Like he always talks to him like he's a stupid little kid, and I kind of always hated that because I feel like Jeremy and Damon could have had such a good relationship, but as we're gonna see later on, that's not the case. Damon just treats him like a stupid kid. In the next scene, we see Caroline, who is home in her bed, and then she hears something, a window opening. So she, like, Vamp speeds next to it, and it's Matt. She's asking him what he's doing, and he comes in and, like, says that he just wanted to check up on her, and he says that, she's been kind of dodging him and that he's more insecure than her now. And she's like, what do you mean? And he says, it means that you almost died. And it really freaked me out. And it got me thinking, because I'm not in a position where I can lose someone else right now. I realized even though today I wanted to throttle you, I'm pretty sure that I'm in love with you. And now it seems like you don't feel the same way. And then Caroline kisses him and they hug each other. And then her face is changing to the vampire one, but she starts like breathing through it. And then her face becomes normal again and she smiles because she's happy that she could do it. Then we see Elena, who is sleeping, and Stefan is coming and kisses her on the cheek, and she's waking up. And she's like, what time is it? And he's like, it's almost dawn. Come with me. And Elena's super cute and sleepy in this scene. And in the last scene of this episode, we are back in the carnival, but it is empty now because it's like almost dawn, as Stefan said. And what are we doing here, Stefan? We could get caught. Well, I compelled the guard to take a break so I could kiss my girlfriend on top of the Ferris wheel. Then he Vamp jumps them on top of the Ferris wheel. And Stefan says, we have to take these moments, Elena. What Catherine did to Caroline could just be the beginning. And there are things with Tyler's family that we don't even understand yet. And there's always the D word. But I came back to this town to start a life with you. We can't forget to live it. And then as they jump up, Elena starts like laughing because that speech actually that I mentioned, he tells her on the ground, and then they jump up. So when they jump up, she starts laughing and he says, it's so nice to see you laugh. And then Elena's like, it's not gonna get any easier, is it? No, it's not. Which is not a very positive note to end on this episode, but yeah, we have big things coming this season and the upcoming seasons. And this is, my friends, the ending of the second episode of the second season that is called Brave New World. And in this last scene, Stefan basically made Elena's wish come true that she mentioned in the beginning of the episode, that she wants him to take her on top of the Ferris wheel and give her a kiss, and her heart is gonna flutter like a normal high school girl. So he did that for her, which was nice after all the havoc that was happening that whole episode. And then I want to go back to a line that Matt says, nice shot, killer, which Matt says to Caroline at the ring toss when she breaks the glasses. And I kind of love that, even though it's like bittersweet, but I love this line because at the end of this episode, Caroline actually is a killer because she killed Carter. So it's like very playful. I love that. Along with the line, well, she's not human, obviously, and she's not. I really do love this writing. It's witty and it's smart and it's just a little hint, but very insightful. Also, I was surprised that Caroline didn't kill the nurse in the hospital before, because she was the first person that Caroline was drinking from, and I would not be surprised if she wouldn't be able to stop and killed her. So I think that was pretty admirable on Caroline's part, that she didn't kill the nurse being a new vampire without any guidance. I mean, she did kill Carter later on, but that was pretty admirable anyway. And then again, Damon in this episode is just, I don't know what's happening, but he could have been more sad about what he did, more disappointed in himself about what he did, and he could have, I don't know, be nicer to Jeremy, not try to kill him again at the carnival. That was just stupid. I don't know. I also didn't understand why Jeremy would then go to Damon's house and then be so nice to him. I don't know. Okay, what else? Okay, I have one more note here. I love the scene of Stefan and Caroline when Stefan is helping Caroline to get through this rough patch with her becoming a vampire, killing her, first person that she ever killed, and that grief and everything that comes with it, because vampire senses are heightened, so you're gonna feel it even more than you would normally would. And I mean, it's the beginning of a story of Stefan and Caroline and their friendship and everything else that will come later on. And I just think that their friendship is one of my favorite aspects of the Vampire Diaries. Same like Rick's and Damon's friendship, Damon's and Liz's friendship. So I do love this, and actually, I do love Caroline's growth in this series. She starts out as such a mean girl, as such a shallow person, and she grows into someone so beautiful and admirable. And she does that by being a vampire. That it's amazing, and I love Caroline. I love Caroline. She's one of my favorite characters. So this episode was again full of great scenes, great dialogues. Nice shot killer, and she's not human, obviously, I think is the peak of this episode. Then we have this thing with Tyler and Mason. What are they? Who are they? Ninja Turtles, this and that. So we're gonna learn more about that, in the next episode. And thank you so much for listening. If you have any insights, any comments, any ideas, maybe things I mentioned that I didn't understand, maybe if you understand it or you know something that I don't, please write it in the comments. I will be happy to read it. And I will see you here next time at episode number 3. Have a great week, everyone.